morning students, how are you all? Children, welcome to your English class. And beta, before starting today's lecture, I want to say that I really felt so happy when I saw you in PTM after a very long time. It was seriously very nice meeting you all, very nice seeing you all. God bless you all. Beta, today we are going to start, as you know that we have already completed chapter 7 also of reader. Now it's time for which chapter? Obviously chapter 8. Beta, chapter 8 is a play. It is based on a real incident. So the chapter's name is Julius Caesar. Let's know about the story. Let's know about the incident which we are going to read in the chapter. Beta, Julius Caesar is a play by William Shakespeare. First of all, let me tell you about the characters of the play. The very first character is Julius Caesar, who was a Roman emperor. And the whole play, means this extract, revolves around Julius Caesar only. Next is Calpurnia, who is Caesar's wife. Further are some conspirators. Do you know the meaning of conspiracy? Conspirators. People who plan something bad for others, who think something bad for others and they harm others. They are conspirators. They plan the things and they execute them. So who are the conspirators in this play? Decius Brutus, Publius, Marcus Brutus, Ligarius, Metellus, Casca, Trebonius, Cinna. I know these are a little strange names for you, but since this play was written at the time of Shakespeare, at the time of Roman emperor time, so definitely the names would be of that time only. So children, Julius Caesar is a play by William Shakespeare. It is a historical play based on true event from Roman history. In this extract, why I am using this word extract? Because the play is so long and this part about Caesar's death, about this Julius Caesar, this part has been taken from that long play. So that's why it is called an extract. So beta, in this extract, Calpurnia said that she had a bad dream. Who is Calpurnia? Caesar's wife. She had a bad dream and in which made her scared enough to warn Julius Caesar not to go to the Roman Senate on the Ides of March. Julius Caesar was about to go at Senate House where all the dignitaries or the politics sit. So there in Senate House, Caesar was about to go. But Calpurnia, his wife, refused him to go, denied him to go. Please do not go because I had a very bad dream. And because of that I am really scared. You should not go there. So at first Caesar doesn't agree. But then when the priests also say that the signs are not good, he should not go out, then he agrees. Just then Brutus came. Brutus is also one of the conspirators. Then Brutus came to meet Caesar and accompany him to the Senate house. He reinterprets the dream of Calpurnia, that Calpurnia saw something bad would happen. Then he interprets the dream and convinced Caesar that nothing wrong going to happen. In fact, these are some good signs, these are some positive signs. So definitely Brutus came to meet Caesar and accompany him to the Senate house. Further beta, Caesar said he won't go because of Calpurnia's dream. Earlier he said that he won't go because of Calpurnia's dream. But Brutus reinterpreted the dream in a positive manner and requested Caesar to attend because he knew that they will give him a crown. What greed Brutus gave him, told him that he is going to get a crown today, and if he will not go, then definitely the people, the jury can change their mind, and definitely that crown will be given to someone else. So he interprets and he knows that they will give him a crown. Besides, if he stays at home, they will think that Caesar is afraid. Caesar is a coward. He is not going to come here. So when he will be made the king, then how will he handle the things? So they may think that Caesar is a coward. So that's why he is not coming. So they can change their mind. Then the other senators, Publius, Ligarius, Metellus, Casca, Trebonius and Cinna, come to fetch him. They also come to fetch him to take him to the Senate house. Caesar welcomes them all because they all came to his house, so he welcomes all. Brutus' speech and the appearance of the senators made Caesar change his mind. Those people also came. Brutus also said that he will be awarded with crown. So with all the circumstances, Caesar changed his mind. Finally, Mark Antony also entered. Mark Antony is Caesar's loyal friend. This is also one of the characters. Mark Antony is also Caesar's loyal friend. And Caesar welcomed him also, and they all proceeded to the Senate house. Now, a little suspense is left that we will read at the time of chapter reading. Now children, open chapter number 8 and let's read the chapter.
Chapter 8, Julius Caesar. Students, before starting the explanation, first of all look at part A. Take the words that you associate with the theatre. These are a few words given. You need to put tick on those words which are related to the theatre, like projector, curtain call, easel, green room, wings, camera, novel, act. So you need to put tick. Further we have the picture of Globe Theatre, where the playwright William Shakespeare would stage his plays. Look at this picture, students. The Globe Theatre in London was built in 1599 by Shakespeare's playing company, Lord Chamberlain's men, later named King's Men. It was destroyed in a fire in 1613. Another Globe Theatre was built at the same place in 1614, but was shut down in 1642. A newly reconstructed version of the Globe, named Shakespeare's Globe, was opened in 1997, about 750 feet away from the original site. And from here, the next page, our explanation gets started. A historical play, The Tragedy of Julius Caesar, revolves around the murder of the Roman Emperor Julius Caesar and the opposing roles that his friends Marcus Brutus and Mark Antony play in his death and what happens thereafter. The play is based on actual events that took place in Roman history. It's not a cock and bull story, it is not a man-made story, but this story revolves around a real incident. And this is a historical play, The Tragedy of Julius Caesar, which revolves around the murder of the Roman Emperor Julius Caesar. And in this play we will be reading about the opposing roles played by his friends Marcus Brutus and Mark Antony, what happens after Julius Caesar's death. And as I have already told you that this play is based on actual events that took place in Roman history. In this scene, Caesar's wife Calpurnia tries to persuade him to not go to the Roman Senate on the Isles of March, Calpurnia has had a terrible dream that she fears that her husband's life is in danger. First of all, Julius Caesar, Marcus Brutus, and Mark Antony, these three characters have been introduced here. Further, we come to know about Calpurnia, who is Caesar's wife. She forbids Caesar to go out because she had a bad dream. She did not want him to go to Roman Senate on 15th March. Calpurnia has had a terrible dream and she fears that her husband's life is in danger. Now, read the scene to find out how Calpurnia's dream is interpreted and what Caesar decides to do. Whether he doesn't go to the Senate house or he goes to the Senate house. Let's read. And better before this, we have the characters in the play. Very first, Julius Caesar. Then Calpurnia, who is Caesar's wife, Decius Brutus, Publius, Marcus Brutus, Ligarius, Metellus, Casca, Trebonius, Cinna. These all are the conspirators who are behind the death of Roman Emperor Caesar. Further, we have Mark Antony, who is Caesar's loyal friend and a servant also. Act 2, Scene 2, Caesar's house. This whole incident took place first of all in Caesar's house. The play begins with Caesar's house. In Caesar's house, thunder and lightning enter Caesar in his nightgown. Caesar is in his nightgown. He enters. First of all, Caesar appears and the weather is too bad. Thundering and lightning is there. And the conversation also starts with Caesar only. Nor heaven nor earth have been at peace tonight. Means nothing is at peace tonight. There is something terrible. There is something bad to happen. Thrice hath Calpurnia in her sleep cried out. And as Caesar enters, he heard that Calpurnia, his wife, cried out in his sleep only, "Help! Ho! They murder Caesar! Who's within?" Enter a servant. And what she cried, what she spoke, she got so much scared, and in her dream she spoke, she cried that someone is murdering Caesar. Who is there? And at that time a servant enters. Now the conversation of servant: "My lord." Caesar has called the servant, and what Caesar says: "Go bid the priests do present sacrifice and bring me their opinion of success." Caesar says this to his servant that go to the priest and ask them to do some predictions and bring their opinion whether the day is good or bad. Something bad is about to happen, then also let me know so that I would be aware of that. Servant: "I will, my lord." Exit. After listening the order of Caesar, the servant goes from there. Enter Calpurnia. Now Calpurnia's dialogue, Calpurnia's conversation. Calpurnia: "What mean you, Caesar? Think you to walk forth?" Caesar: "What do you think? What do you mean by sending the servant to the priest? Are you going somewhere? Are you going out? You shall not stir out of your house today, because I have a very bad dream in which I saw that someone was murdering you, someone was killing you, and I am so scared, so you will not go out today." Caesar: "Caesar shall forth. The things that threatened me never looked but on my back. When they shall see the face of Caesar, they are vanished. What do you think, Calpurnia? I am scared of any bad happening, any kind of dream. Caesar will surely go out, and if something is there that is threatening me, that is scaring me, then definitely they can scare at my backside only. When they will come in front of me, they will look at my face, they will automatically be spoiled. Calpurnia. Caesar, I never stood on ceremonies. Now Calpurnia urges that I have. Now Calpurnia says that Caesar, I never believe in superstitions. Yet now they fright me. There is one within. There might be something that I am that much scared. Besides the things that we have heard and seen, recounts most horrid sights seen by the watch. Moreover, the things which I have seen in my dream, the cries which I have heard in my dream, that is scaring me, and that's why I am too much horrified, too much awful, and I am forbidding you to go out. Like a lioness hath whelped in the street. A lioness is there who has given birth to her children in the street only, and graves have yawned and yielded up their head. Suddenly I have seen in my dream that graves have yawned, they have opened up. Fiery warriors fought upon the clouds in ranks and squadrons. I have seen the war formations. I have seen fiery warriors who are fighting upon the clouds, which drizzled blood upon the Capitol. And in state office where you are saying that you will be going, in that there is drizzle, there is showering of blood like a rain. The noise of battle hurtled in the air. All over there is the noise of battle which is moving around in the air in a very rapid way. Horses did neigh and dying men did groan. Everywhere the neighing of horses, the mourning, the cry of people are there, and ghosts did shriek. Even the ghosts are screaming, they are crying and squeal about the streets. They are moving around the streets. O Caesar, these things are beyond all use. These things are not miscellaneous. These are not useless. If I have seen these things in my dreams, they have some meaning, and I do fear them. So I am so scared of such things. Caesar, what can be avoided whose end is purposed by the mighty gods? Calpurnia, if you have seen such things in your dream and you are actually scared that something wrong can happen with me, and if actually by God's wish my end is near, then it cannot be postponed. If today something bad is going to happen and it is in my destiny, then that thing will surely happen. Yes, Caesar shall go forth, for these predictions are to the world in general as to Caesar. These things are so common in Caesar's life, and surely I will go to the Senate house. Calpurnia. When beggars die, there are no comets seen. Now Calpurnia again tries to make Caesar understand, again tries to convince Caesar not to go out, that when beggars die, then there are no bright stars, there is no prediction about the beggars, but the heavens themselves blaze forth the death of princes. But when any prince dies, even then the heaven also throws the dangerous fire. Even the heaven also gives a clue. Caesar, cowards die many times before their death. The valiant never taste of death but once. Now Caesar says that coward die many times, but a brave dies only once. Of all the wonders that I yet have heard, it seems to me most strange that men should fear, seeing that death, a necessary end, will come when it will come. Of all wonders, whichsoever things are strange in this world, I have heard, I am surprised for one thing only, that how men should fear. See, if death is about to come, the end is necessary, it is certain, then definitely person will die when the time is there. Re-enter servant. What say the augurs? Now, what the priests have said, because the servant has appeared again. Servant, they would not have you to stir forth today, plucking the entrails of an offering forth. They could not find a heart within the beast. They are saying that even after the sacrifice has been made, even then the intestine of sacrificed animals, plucking the intestine of sacrificed animal. You also, children, might have seen in movies or on TV that people sacrifice animal just to make Lord happy, although it is a superstition. And servant also tells the same thing to Caesar, that priests are saying that this day is not suitable for you to go out. Caesar, the gods do this in shame of cowardice. Caesar should be a beast without a heart if he should stay at home today for fear. Now Caesar says there will be no lacking. The Caesar will also be compared to a beast. Caesar will also be compared to a coward. He will be called a coward. If he will not go out, he will stay at home. No, Caesar shall not. Danger knows full well that Caesar is more dangerous than he. We are two lions littered in one day, and I the elder and more terrible, and Caesar shall go forth. When the danger was born and I was also born, it was the same day. Caesar is more dangerous than he, and definitely I am the elder one. I am more dangerous than any kind of mishappening, and Caesar shall forth. Caesar will definitely go. Calpurnia, alas, my lord, your wisdom is consumed in confidence. Caesar, I am so much terrified, I am so much disappointed that you are not, neither you are listening to the prediction of priest, nor you are listening to me. Your wisdom is consumed in confidence. You are not seeing the things under your overconfidence, behind your overconfidence, which things I have seen. Do not go forth today. Call it my fear that keeps you in the house and not your own. We'll send Mark Antony to the Senate house, and he shall say, you are not well today. Let me upon my knee prevails in this. Now again Calpurnia request, she pleads, she has come to on her knees, and she says, we will send Mark Antony to the Senate house, and he will convey the message that you are not well today, so that's it, please don't go out. Caesar, Mark Antony shall say, I am not well, and for thy humor I will stay at home. What do you think? Mark Antony will tell a lie there, and because of your dream I will stay at home, I will not go out. Do you really think so? Now one more character has entered into the Caesar's house, Decius Brutus. The character is Decius Brutus. Here's Decius Brutus, he shall tell them so. Now Decius Brutus has come, and Caesar says that he will convey the message if you really want me to stay here. Now the conversation of Decius Brutus. Caesar, all hail, good morrow, worthy Caesar, I come to fetch you to the Senate house. Why he came to Caesar? Obviously, he came to Caesar to take him to the Senate house. First of all, he wishes Caesar by saying good morning. Caesar, and you are come in very happy time to bear my greeting to the senator and tell them that I will not come today, cannot, is false, and that I dare not, falser, I will not come today, tell them so, Decius. Now Caesar says that you have come at the right time and you convey my greetings to the senators and tell them that I will not come today to the Senate house. Calpurnia, say he is sick. Calpurnia interrupts there and says that say he is sick, he is not well, that's why he will not come. Caesar, shall Caesar send a lie? Will I tell a lie? Will I speak a lie that I am not well, although I am quite well? Have I in conquest stretched mine arm so far? To be afraid to tell grey beards the truth, Decius, go tell them Caesar will not come. Now Caesar says that will I tell a lie that I am not well? And am I so much scared to tell those old men who have accomplished great success, who have accomplished and achieved something in their life? Now Decius, go tell them Caesar will not come. Decius Brutus, most mighty Caesar, let me know some cause. Tell me the reason so that I can also tell them, lest I be laughed at when I tell them so. My lord Caesar, please give me some reason that why are you not coming to the Senate house? Otherwise, I would laugh if I will be telling them that you are not coming. Caesar, the cause is in my will. I will not come. That is enough to satisfy the Senate. Simple, I do not want to come. It is my will, it is my own desire, own decision, and that is enough to satisfy the Senate. But for your private satisfaction, because I love you, I will let you know Calpurnia here, my wife, stays me at home. But Brutus, you are one of my dear friends, so I am telling you the reason that Calpurnia wants me to stay at home because she had a bad dream last night. She dreamt tonight she saw my statue, which like a fountain with 100 spouts did run pure blood, and many lusty Romans came smiling. What? Caesar tells Brutus that I am forced to be at home only because my wife Calpurnia has seen a dream. She dreamt of my statue, and from my statue the blood was coming out like a fountain, and there were many Romans who were very happy. They were smiling after seeing me dead, and did bathe their hands in it, and they were washing their hands in my blood. And these does she apply for warnings and portents and evils imminent, and on her knee hath begged that I will stay at home today. She has considered all these things as predictions, immediate evils, and that's why she has come on her knees and she wants me to stay at home. Decius Brutus, this dream is all misinterpreted. Fine, she has seen a dream, but she has interpreted the dream in a very wrong way, incorrectly. It was a vision, fair and fortunate. In fact, something good is there, something fortunate is there. Too much positivity is there. Your statue spouting blood in many pipes. Fine, she has seen your statue, and from that statue the blood was coming out from many pipe with a great force. Now, when Brutus listens, then definitely he came to bring Caesar to Senate house. So he started reinterpreting the dream of Calpurnia. He says that Calpurnia has misinterpreted the dream, actually, in which so many smiling Romans bathed, signifies that from you great Rome shall suck. Now, a great Rome will be origined from you only, reviving blood, and that great men shall press for tinctures, strains, relics, and cognizance. This by Calpurnia's dream is signified. Calpurnia has interpreted the dream in a negative way, but according to me, this dream signifies that the reviving blood, the people will be happy of Rome, and a new Rome will be made. Caesar, and this way have you well expounded it. Now Caesar says that you have explained it so well. Decius Brutus, I have, when you have heard what I can say and know it now, the Senate have concluded to give this day a crown to mighty Caesar. I have, when you have heard what I can say. Actually, I have come here to convey this to you that people of Senate, they are going to give you the crown. They are going to give this day a crown to mighty Caesar. If you shall send them with word, you will not come. Their minds may change. Besides, it were a mock act to be rendered for someone to say, break up the Senate till another time, when Caesar's wife shall meet with better dreams. Definitely, I have come to convey the message that people of Senate, the senators, are going to give you the crown, but when I will convey them that because of this dream Caesar has not come, then they may change their mind and they will definitely mock at you. They will laugh at you by saying, okay, we will call the Caesar when Caesar's wife will have a better dream. Break up the Senate till another time. They will definitely break up the Senate at that time, and they will say that Calpurnia will have a good dream, better dream, and then we will call Caesar and will offer the crown. If Caesar hide himself, shall they not whisper? What do you think, Caesar? If you are hidden in your house, they will not talk behind you. Lo, Caesar is afraid. Caesar is a coward. Pardon me, Caesar. Please excuse me. Forgive me, Caesar. For my dear, dear love to our proceeding bids me tell you this, and reason to my love is libel. Now I have my great joy at what is in store for you. My reason is weak before my love for you. Please give me a reason that I can tell Senate for that you are not coming. Caesar, how foolish do your fears seem now, Calpurnia? Now he says that Calpurnia, your fear seems so foolish. I am ashamed. I did yield to them. I trusted you. I trusted your dream. I am feeling so ashamed. Give me my robe, for I will go. Now give me my robe, my clothes, and I will go. Enter Publius, Brutus, Ligarius. These all are the conspirators in form of Caesar's friends, and they all enter. And look where Publius is come to fetch me. See, Publius also has come to fetch me because they are going to give me the crown. Publius, good morrow, Caesar. Publius also wished Caesar by saying good morning. Caesar, welcome Publius. What, Brutus? Are you stirred so early today? Did you get up so early today? Good morrow, Casca. Caius Ligarius, Caesar was never so much your enemy. I am your friend, I am not your enemy. As these people have come to Caesar's house, so they start by wishing each other and a regular normal conversation that I am not your enemy, welcome, good morning, and all that. As that same ague which hath made you lean, what is the o'clock? Now, Caesar says that illness has made you so weak. Now, what's the time? Brutus tells the time by saying, Caesar, 'tis strucken 8. Caesar, I thank you for your pains and courtesy. Enter Antony. Now they are conversating with each other, asking time, telling time, and Caesar thanks others for their pains and courtesy that they have come to their house, and at that time Antony comes. Now, who is Antony, my dear students? Mark Antony, that character I introduced in the beginning of the play, that is Caesar's loyal friend. See, Antony, that revels long o' night, is notwithstanding up. Good morrow, Antony. Okay, now Antony has come. See, he makes merry until late into the night. He's a very nice person. Antony, so to most noble Caesar. Caesar, bid them prepare within. I am to blame to be thus waited for. Now Cinna, now Metellus, what Trebonius, I have an hour's talk in store for you. Remember that you call on me today. Be near me that I may remember you. Now Caesar says that I should be blamed for making them wait for some time, but now for all of them I have half an hour and I can talk to them, and I request all of you to be near me so that I would not forget anyone. Trebonius, Caesar, I will. Okay, I will be with you. Aside means a character who speaks to the audience. And so near will I be that your best friend shall wish I had been further. I will also be with you, and when your best friend will see me around you, they will also wish that they could be with you. They will hope that they were with you. Caesar, good friends, go in and taste some wine with me, and we like friends will straightway go together. Now let's have some wine together, and we will go straight away together. Brutus, aside, that every like is not the same. O Caesar, the heart of Brutus yearns to think upon. Now Brutus says that not every person is the true friend. The heart of Brutus yearns to think upon, and Brutus really feels so much painful after thinking that not everyone is a true friend. Exeunt means an instruction for an actor to leave the stage, and then he leaves. And they all leave after that, and here our play ends, my dear students. But what happens after that? All the men who came to Caesar's house to accompany him to the Roman Senate, except Mark Antony, they all were conspirators who ultimately assassinated him on the Ides of March. In the Senate house, they assassinated him, they killed him. The conspirators believed that they would establish a state for the people by overthrowing Caesar, whom they saw as a dictator. They had a plan to throw Caesar out of Rome, and they will build their own dynasty, own reign. Unfortunately, their plans failed and Rome fell to civil war. Unfortunately, that also did not happen even after killing Caesar, and Rome fell to civil war. So students, this was all about the play. I hope you have understood the play. Listen to the audio, watch the video again if any doubt is there, and try to do exercise A and also find out the answers of the question. Thank you students.